Today I am joined by Kumar Paudel, the founder and director of Greenhood Nepal, one of the largest wildlife NGOs working in the region. They focus on tackling nature crime, conserving individual species, developing conservation capacity, education, and outreach. Kumar elaborates upon the rich biodiversity of Nepal, the stunning success of the nation in conserving rhinos, elephants, and tigers, tackling human wildlife conflict, and orchid conservation. Tune in to a highly engaging episode. Welcome, Kumar, to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on today to talk about the biodiversity of Nepal. So, what got you interested in conservation?
Thanks, Anis, for having me in your podcast. So it's a long story about my journey in conservation. Actually, I grew up in mountain village in Nepal. So looking at the river, the wildlife, raising the cattle and goats. So I had a big connection with the nature. But at that time, I didn't know all about the biodiversity conservation, the threats we are facing, and all. When we started on the environmental science, then it felt the problem city is facing. So it's all those things, something to fix this big problem. And then that's why I started conservation.
So, what was the idea behind Greenhood Nepal?
So I started my conservation work early in 2010. And at that time, I was heavily involved into the advocacy, writing literary editors, and writing op-ed piece in the national newspaper. And it was mostly like activism against all the poaching that was happening for the rhinos and other wildlife at that time in Nepal. Doing that for about 2 years. So that led to some impact. So that led to a parliamentary investigation in Nepal. And also that led to lots of awareness about the poaching and the corruption. And then also people started to act on it. And at that time, I didn't know anything about conservation. But what we have realized is that without even knowing whole science and details, so if your intention is good and if you want to help, then you can be the part of the solution. That's where we failed. And then in 2012. So we thought, okay, so let's do it more properly in an organized way. That's what we thought. And then that's how the Greenhood came.
In 2014, Nepal became the first country to achieve zero poaching in the rhino, elephant, and the tiger. How did Nepal achieve this zero poaching record?
Yeah, Nepal is doing really well, especially controlling the poaching of megafauna inside the protected areas. And also in some time, so it also achieved the zero poaching for certain species in certain national parks. The main thing, I think, what worked really well here is the enforcement, Nepal's enforcement capacity. So many people maybe they don't know. So Nepal mobilized military, army to protect the species inside the national parks. There are more than the 8,000 parks. So another thing is so we have been able to utilize the community intelligence, community-based anti-poaching network, the information, and also been able to secure the buy-in of the local communities who really help to enhance the enforcement. Because of that, so we have been able to achieve the poaching for certain species in certain national parks.
So, beyond charismatic megafauna like the tigers, elephants, and rhinos, how severe is the threat of poaching and illegal wildlife trade to smaller mammals in Nepal and smaller birds also?
Yeah, so illegal trade is a big threat always for all these species, but it's more to those species which are outside the protected areas and which species which doesn't get often tension from the conservation investment priorities and policies. So, for example, the pangolins or the medicinal plants or the turtles or the tortoises. So those species, they're generally outside the major protected area system, which are designed for the megafauna. And also, they're not really in the priority of enforcement. So those species are under the separate threat of the poaching and the international illegal trade in Nepal.
So, Greenhood Nepal has been working extensively on curbing the wildlife trade at the China Nepal border. Elaborate about your work in this regard.
Yeah, so in Greenwood, we have been working to the illegal wildlife trade about across the country, what is happening, where the species, its network, and the people who are doing it, and then so what's their motivation, and then how we can stop it. So so we do like work in like a three stages. So one is we do the assessment of the trade, what is happening there, and we try to identify so why people are motivated to do it. So we do that thing, and then we try to launch the and behavior change campaign to change the perception and the behavior of those people who are involved in the illegal wildlife trade. And in another part, we work with the enforcement agencies and then to understand their need and develop the resources, tools, and training to support them so that they can do their job well. So these are the two things we do the ground. And another thing we do is so we try to keep the record of all the details and then try to look the pattern to look for the different new insights and knowledge, and then we actively publish that finding in peer-reviewed journal. And so we take those things to the enforcement agencies, scientific community, and other conservation agencies. The goal is to use this evidence and insights to improve the conservation practice and our perception and the future priorities.
So, your organization has also worked on the illegal trade and sustainable use of medicinal orchids. So, what are the medicinal value of orchid species?
Yeah, medicine plant trade is, it's a really huge trade in Nepal. Since Nepal is a Himalayan country with lots of biodiversity, so we have over 500 orchid species, and out of that, so the over 100 species are medicinally important species. They are on target from the legal and also the illegal trade extensively. We get demand from the many countries, including China and some other countries in Asia and from the West. So, especially in the medicinal field, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to understand which species are on target and their population viability in the wild, and then how we are developing the different management plans or how we are implementing the CITES compliance on the ground. So which species are, like a notice of the enforcement agencies or not. So and trade scheme that is in practice, and then trying to help the authorities to make sure they are not threatening the wild orchid species, which population is really going down, while allowing the trade with other species. And also, we are making sure we understand this different species well. The trade chain is not actually so doesn't threaten the survival of this species in the long term in the wild. That's what we're trying to do, and specifically in terms of the knowledge production. So what we are doing is understanding species are harvesting well in sustainable way. What are the insights there, and then which species are harvesting well and disappearing from the different communities and geographies in Nepal. Understanding those things and helping the CITES management authorities, local communities, the medicine plants trader, how they can take these species and also plan to get the benefit in the long term.
So you had earlier mentioned about pangolins, and Greenhood Nepal has worked extensively with Chinese pangolins. So what are the key threats to the species, and what is Greenhood Nepal doing for their conservation?
Yeah, so yeah, as you mentioned, so yeah, pangolin is something we really care about. And also I have some personal connection with pangolin because I grew up seeing pangolins in my backyard when I was young. Later on, so I realized, oh, so the level of threats the pangolin is facing, trade, poaching, and habitat destruction. And in Greenhood, so we do a couple of things in pangolin. So the first thing is we try to identify the conservation priority sites for pangolin. Then another thing is, so we do the assessment. So what are the risks? What are the threats for the pangolin? Which are the threats which are like very local? Which are the threats in the national level? Which are the threats, like external threats, which is the pangolin is facing? And then for the local threats, so we work with the local communities to like improve their habitat or to control the poaching at the local level, increase the awareness of conservation importance of pangolin, and I will try to make sure pangolins are getting the space in the local conservation management plan of the protected area or the forest. So that's what we try to do at the local level. And at the national level, so we work with the conservation authorities. So we make sure the conservation decision maker understand the urgency and need for the pangolin conservation. So we host the annual pangolin roundtable. We're doing that for the last 10 years, and it has already catalyzed the National Conservation Action Plan, and also has been able to is enforcement agencies in their actions and influence. So that's what we're trying to do at the national level. Also, another thing is we try to track the network, the illegal trade, and then support the law enforcement agencies to break that chain.
How is So talk about some of the work Greenhood Nepal is doing to conserve rhinos and tigers in Chitwan National Park.
Here also, since our work is mostly around the species which are often neglected, but threatened, but while saying that, we look the species conservation and some of the threats which are not specific to certain species, but to the overall wildlife. And also for the, in the case of the rhinos and tigers, so they're already like a very charismatic megafauna, but what we're trying to add there is we're trying to understand the trade and motivations of poaching and that links to the international trade. So trying to understand that chain and then try to help local communities or the authorities to stop that. And another thing is, since the rhinos and tiger, they share the habitat with pangolins in Chittor National Park. So we're trying to understand the different social and environmental safeguards that we can actually leverage to protect the habitat. Sometimes in species conservation, so we have to look beyond the national park because threats are not only the proximity related threats. So sometimes they, for example, say if there is a river which is coming from very far but taking lots of pollution, then again that affects the wildlife and their health, right? So we're trying to understand so what is there around the national park, especially outside of the park, which is being more threat to the species and habitat, and then how we can resolve that. So for that, we are working with the local communities to make them understand what are the environmental compliance they need to look for the especially the development projects which are in the construction or which are in the possession. They sure those activities are really putting to the species and park down below. So we're looking out, but to save side.
So between 2010 and 2022, Nepal tripled her tiger population. So how did the country achieve this remarkable feat?
Yeah, Nepal's success in tiger conservation is something. So yeah, we all celebrate. Nepal has been able to so almost triple the tiger population, which is at the brink of extinction at a different local level in Nepal. There are a couple of things which worked really well in this regard. So one is the the role of the National Parks and Wildlife Department. So they try to improve the habitat and then also manage the prey population for the tiger. So that's one thing. And another thing is controlling the poaching and trade. So as I mentioned earlier as well, when talking about the poaching here for certain species in certain. So same thing applied in the case of tiger as well. So Nepal has been able to control the poaching inside the national park very well with the help of the Nepal Army, with the help of the community-based anti-poaching units, and with the help of the different organizations who are trying to break the international chain and then who are trying to make people stop poaching species inside the park. So these are the three things I think so work really well on the ground. And also at the national level or the policy level, so Nepal government really prioritize the protect conservation of the rhinos and then there are some initiatives from the level of the prime minister. So I would like to say it's like more from the like coordinated efforts from people to the prime minister, which really helped to bring back the tigers this level.
So, even though the tiger conservation has been a big success in Nepal, there's been growing incidents of human tiger conflict. So, why is this the case? And how do you think human tiger conflict can be mitigated in Nepal?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we didn't only increase the tiger number, so that also led to increase the conflict with the people because tigers are there where we say the habitat. We have millions of people who are living around the national park where we're protecting tiger, rhinos, and all the megafauna and all pangolins and all these species. So especially the species which is a little bit violent to the people, and definitely that there is conflict. So the conflict has been encouraged a lot, and also Nepal is not in a position to manage those conflict and then compensate the people in a proper way. Sometimes when the tiger are found problematic or attacking people, so we don't have much resources what to do, capture the tiger or how to put that tiger in a captivity for a long time or how to treat them and then release. So they don't have much capacity in that part. And also I think Nepal's focus was more into bringing back the tiger population back. And then I think so Nepal, we didn't give it much thought and we didn't put much resources how to handle when there are more tigers there. So I say so Nepal is not much prepared to have so many tigers here. And this is a growing challenge. There are some initiatives, so we started, but so we need the support. We need the investment from the resourceful countries. How better mitigate this conflict and sure. So tigers are they're like protected even in the conflict situations.
So, how are rhinos faring in Nepal? What are some of the key threats they face, and what is the way forward?
Yeah, the story for rhinos and tigers is quite similar because for rhinos as well, the rhinos population which is very impressive. So the poaching has gone down significantly. The problem is the high rate of the natural, like reported natural mortality of the rhinos. So since poaching has gone down, the death of rhino is continue. That could be because of the many things, maybe because of the habitat, maybe because of the diseases, or maybe because of some other things which we don't know. So that has been one concern. And also the poaching and trade related things. So we cannot say, oh, there is no threat. So because these things can happen at any time, anywhere. So that threat is always there. And also another thing is, so it's about the habitat, how healthy habitat is there since in last couple of decades. So Chittagong has become a very popular destination for human. And then human population is going up, the land use changes are rapidly changing, and those things are affecting well the species we have inside the park. These are the like yeah. very common thing that a common challenge that you can expect in the future.
And if I wanted to visit Nepal for wildlife tourism, which place would you recommend beyond Chitwan? Like, obviously, we all know about Chitwan, but what are some of the other parks we should visit?
Yeah, for the visit, so there it depends which species or which kind of the landscape and habitat. So you want to see if you are interested to look for the like to go for the uh, snow leopard, then the Manan, Mustang, Dolpa, Humla. So those regions are really great place to go. If you're interested in finding the pangolins, then mid hills, any places in mid hills, any community forest or the national park in the mid hill are the ideal place to go for the pangolin. And for red panda, so especially the eastern Nepal, long-term national park, so they're great. But again, red panda also quite a scatter. So wherever you go, you'll find amazing wildlife, the landscape, the people, culture here in Nepal. So you'll not regret whatever you location you pick.
And what have been some of your most memorable moments from your conservation career? And talk about some of the challenges.
Yeah, so I have so many memorable events. Yeah, if I have to pick just one at the moment, then I spent a couple of years visiting prisons, meeting with the wildlife prisoners, understanding who they are, where they come from, why they're involved in poaching, and then how we can stop them doing so. So the time that I spent there in a cell, talking with them and understanding them was very memorable, and I think I would never forget in my life. All the courtesy of the people, social the participant and receiving, and then also the impact of the organized international crime, and then how they're being hired, and then how they're like paying the huge price for the little what they receive. It's like how they're being misused by all the criminal network. So that was heartbreaking and also very, yeah, very unique and at some point very emotional experience for me. So I would say my time inside the prison, meeting with the wildlife prisoners, were the like most memorable moments for me in my conservation science journey.
And how can individuals contribute to Greenhood Nepal?
There are a couple of ways people can contribute to Greenhood Nepal and our vision to protect the Nepal's most threatened and neglected wildlife species. So one thing is, so you can, if you have good expertise in like field science or the research or mobilizing people or designing campaigns, education, or any kind of a skill, so you can give your time to support our work. So that's one thing. Another thing is, so you can also donate to support our work. So for that, so you need to go to the greenhood.org and then join our space. So we're always open about the like having interns, volunteers, researcher, and working together on the issues and problem that we're trying to solve.
Yep, that was the final question I had for you today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
I'll keep you updated when it goes live and stuff. It'll take a bit of time, but I'll keep you in the loop.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much for having me.